Hello and welcome back to this series on transitioning from SolidWorks into Zapworks. My name is Ashwin, and in this video, we're going to walk through Zapworks as a software. So let's dive right in. In the last video, we were talking about a few downloads. So we had Zapworks, which needed to be downloaded. As I was saying in the last video, they have a download for Windows and for Mac. And both installations are very straightforward. You can just start the installation, follow the defaults, and it will be installed. So let's take a look at what Zapworks looks like. You see this icon right here? This is the Zapworks icon. It's a Zapworks Studio. And when I open it up, it looks something like this. Now, I already have a few projects over here. I'm going to put up a new project. Let's see how that works. All right. We're going to start with a blank project. Let's hit create. And if you remember from last video, we were doing a engine animation. So I'm going to name this engine animation. Engine animation. Okay. So Zapworks automatically creates the studio environment for you. And it also gives you a few options over here. So your mouse does not work as it would in SolidWorks or any other software. You will have to left click on one of these and rotate to look at the different views. You can, of course, scroll to zoom in and zoom out. And to pan, you will have to hold down this icon and move around the space. You have something called orbit. If you've used Blender, you know that by clicking on this, it keeps the object in the center and rotates. We'll look at these options once we have a little bit more to go off on. Something to remember that I did not mention in the previous video. We're going to go into SolidWorks, and if you can see, this was our model of the engine. So we have the crankshaft, the connecting rods, the pistons. And when we export as a GLTF export animation. That is something that we need to remember while doing this. Let's go into settings. Go back into settings, and that is an option called the textures beside file. You will have to check this because it is not checked by default. Once you check this option and hit save, it will automatically save the files with textures beside them. So you won't have to worry about that. So keep this in mind while doing it. Let's get started with Zapworks. Now, Zapworks gives you certain symbol definitions, if you will. Let's look at what they have. Right now, we have something called the world ground placement. So this is what we will be using to place the object in a single location and walk around it so that the object does not move, but we move around it. So I'll give add, it says, all right, and we can get that added. I'm going to close SolidWorks down because I want to save memory. All right. The next thing that we need to add is lighting. So Zapworks does not by default light the scene. And for that, you will need the gravity environment light. You can use the gravity light too, but it's just a bit more bland. Gravity environment light gives you a shiny feel with a better environment. So let's get that added. There we go. Now back in Zapworks. There's one more thing that I would like to add. I personally like this feature a lot. This is the target manipulator feature. Here it is. So what this allows you to do is to swipe to scale the model in the real world and to swipe sideways to rotate it. This is a very useful feature just in case you have a really large model and you'd like to scale it to the size of the room. So let's add that in. All right, here we go. Okay. Now, Zapworks supports a drag to drop type. So what we're going to do is, if you remember from the previous video, we have a few files that we already had made. We're going to put this here. Let's go into Zapworks, and you have the engine animation files. It's always good to remember that you need to pull both the files, hold on Control, select both files, drag and drop it right there. All right. Okay, and Zapworks will automatically import the files in for you. It's going to take a while to render it, and there you have it. You have your material right there showing up on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and hit finish. It has imported everything. So the first order of business, you see this root. This root is the place where all the action takes place. So the first thing you want to do is pull this world tracking ground placement and place it right there. So this gives you the coordinate axis, the Cartesian coordinate system on which you will be doing all your manipulation. Next one would be to take the target manipulator and put it into the ground right there. You see, it opens up a new group for which you can do whatever you want with. The next thing to do would be to take the gravity environment light and put it into the ground so that you have a lighting system in place. Now for the object. So this place is where you have all the objects that you dragged and dropped ready to pull into this space. So let's talk about the engine animation. I'm going to drag the engine animation and drop it into the target manipulator. Okay, let's see what it does. All right, we have something over here now. I'm going to hold on to orbit and go around the object like this. You can see that the object rotates and you are able to see everything. But this is not how an engine is supposed to look, is it? It's upside down. So a hint to follow: the red is your x-axis, the green is your y-axis, and the blue is your z-axis. Let's take a look at this. Now, in this properties tab, you have the properties of the object that you select over here, and it shows that the animation is available, and it also shows all the frames and how it looks when it rotates, right? And you can see the whole animation is 19,966 seconds long, right? Or milliseconds. So here you will have the transform tab that you can see right here. So in the transform tab, you can alter the position of the object relative, and you can scale the object. This is in a 1:1 scale. Of course, you can reduce the scale to 0.5 or whatever you need, and you can rotate. Right now, we're going to have to rotate the object, and we're going to have to rotate it about the y-axis. It's upside down, which means it's at a 180-degree rotation. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this by 180 degrees about the y-axis. There we go. Now it's straight, as we can see, and it's in a good position that we can start animating this object. All right, so that's an introduction to Zapworks, and in the next video, we'll be looking at adding timelines and how exactly we bring in the animation into this video and then export it successfully. So I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.